For many of you who were following events at the end of 2009, a wave of protests broke out. Places as diverse as the Dominican Republic, Chile, Colombia, Bolivia. Now, many of those happened for different reasons. In the case of Dominican Republic, it was over questions of corruption. In the case of Bolivia, it was over a contested election. In Chile and Colombia, social protests that started originally over concerns over poverty and access to social services exploded into larger demonstrations that really rocked the political establishment. In the case of Chile, led to a constituent assembly that is currently writing a constitution. Of course, in 2020, we all experienced the COVID crisis and everything pretty much was placed on hold. The question is what's going to happen in 2021?
And we have documented from Human Rights Watch dozens of cases in which the police and in some instances the armed forces have responded to these demonstrations with excessive and with, I would say, reckless force in the region. We saw this in 2019 in countries like Chile, Colombia, Ecuador. It continued in 2020 when governments started to enforce measures against the spread of COVID and responded to other protests with brutality in countries like El Salvador, Honduras, Argentina.
I mean, kind of predictably, the Cuban government is blaming the United States for the protests, partly the sanctions, which, have been enforced under Trump. And there is some, I guess, some truth to that. But the fact of the matter is they're also blaming many of the protesters on having some kind of relationship to the CIA or the US more generally speaking. And so the classic handbook of the Cold War is being used to justify also the repressive mechanisms they've used against their own population. So they're actually just repeating a very classic Cold War handbook, unfortunately. And but having been there, and I'm speaking to a lot of people, I haven't really found that people are buying into that on the ground.